Functions. Write this down. The definition of a function is a relation in which each x value has only one y value. Each x has only one y. Functions relate input and output. We typically say that x is your input and y is your output. For example, y equals 2x. If we were to make a table of x and y, if I put in 1 for x, 2 times 1 is 2, so my output is 2. If I input 2 for x, 2 times 2 is 4, so my output is 4. I could even put in negative numbers. What if I input negative 2? 2 times negative 2, my output is negative 4. So this is an example of a function because for each x, or my input, there is only one y, or my output. There are 4 ways that you need to be able to identify functions. One is by graphing. This graph shows an example of a non-function. This is not a function. You can see that the value 85 for x has more than one y value. 70 has more than one y value. This is a function because for every x value, there's only one y value. One way, there is a trick that you'll use in algebra. It's called the pencil test. What you'll do is you'll take your pencil and you'll put it at various points along the graph, and as long as your pencil doesn't cover more than one point, then it's a function. So if I took my pencil and I put it at every single little point that I could on this graph, it would never touch more than one x or y at the same time. The other way that you need to identify functions is by mapping. So you need to be able to look at, this is an example of mapping. So you can see that if this is our relationship between grades and hours studied, you can see that for a grade of 95, the hours studied has 2 values. So this is not a function. But in this mapping, each value over here has only one value over here. You also need to be able to identify functions by creating tables. You can see that in this table, we have 2 grades of 90 so that have 2 different values here. So if we were to graph this, our hours studied, we would have 2 and we would have 6, and both of those would have a value of 90, and we can't have that in a function. But the second one is an example of a function because for every x value, there's only one value. And again, same thing here with for every hour studied, that there should be only one grade, but there's multiple grades. And then the last way that you need to be able to identify functions is by writing ordered pairs. You can see that this is not a function because we have the same x value, but we have different y values. So for when x is 2, our output could be -1 or 0 or 1 or 2. So it's not a function. There's more than one output for the input of 2. But this is a function because for each value of x, there is only one value of y. So that wraps up the 4 ways that you need to be able to identify whether or not you have a functional situation. Make sure that you have these jotted down and that you can refer back to them as notes.